And when you're finished with that, I suppose you're gonna fly, huh?
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
We're live. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Rugby Bricks podcast. My name is Annika Jamison, founder of the up-and-coming channel Rebel Like Her, and I'll be your host of this special edition of PB&J, The Real Life. Today's guest, none other than our favourite Peter Breen. I met Pete late last year when he signed on as backs coach for the Super W. Pete has the absolute pleasure of being my growth group leader, and as such occasionally fields unexpected questions and commentary as I fumble my way through the Super W. For me, Pete has quickly become a mentor and had a strong hand in my skill development, especially around my catch-pass game, occasionally my kicking. He's taught me that saying less genuinely allows you to give more at times, and that passion, enthusiasm and dedication trumps raw skill. As our regulars will know, here's your rap, Pete. Pete was a basketballer, a sports enthusiast and a professional rugby player as well as a PT. He played more than 40 games for Otago, majority as first 5/8, which is a new term that I've learned since meeting you, and linked up with Northland. He also played in a Blues B development team in their 2-match campaign against the Chiefs and the Hurricane development sides. Done my research. Pete is widely respected as an expert on skill development, specifically the catch, pass and kicking game. After honing his passion for detail, skills and everything bricky, Pete's decided to use his powers for good and concentrate his efforts on making the world a better place by creating better rugby tools and better rugby players. Pete is currently the assistant coach for the Wallaroos and, more importantly, the backs coach for the Super W Melbourne Rebels. Shameless plug. Pete came to the Rebels in their 3rd season of the Super W, where the chase is still on for the very first win. Here in Melbourne, it's not about rugby union, unfortunately, just yet. We're working up to it. It's much more about footy, or AFL, as the Melbournians call it. So Pete has hit the stage with a team of women who are incredibly eager to learn, but potentially have a little less breadth of knowledge or experience than some of the other Super W teams. On the business front, Pete has a well-established brand of, at last check, 111,000 followers on Instagram, a range of 5 kicking tees, which you can see in the back there, a clothing line being currently repped, programs for catch, pass and fitness, as well as a podcast, and now by all accounts has an app on the way. I'm so fascinated by Pete for a few reasons. Let's make him awkward. Number 1, he's learned to nail the social media hustle on delivering value to build a brand. Personally, I've spent a lot of time playing in social media for sporting teams as a hobby, and it takes a whole lot of understanding and also means you have to be your own mini media team on the go. 2, when he talks, people lean in to listen. As a natural extrovert, I have a tendency to say way too much, whereas Pete will use 2 or 3 words to modify and change skill or behaviour and gets incredible results. And 3, after spending a jam-packed session with Pete, you genuinely leave feeling more confident, inspired, and with more belief in your own game, which I think is a wonderful thing to have as a coach. I found so often that learning new skills can be daunting, and that delivery and feedback can be so powerful in developing someone's game if you give it correctly. So today, Pete joins us at Rebel Like Her HQ, and I get to ask Pete all the things that we never have time to chat about at training or over a passing sesh. Pete, welcome.
What an introduction. That was pretty world class.
Thank you.
I think having listened to your introduction, I need to upskill some of my podcast introductions because that was good.
Well,
and Wikipedia is obviously a really good platform.
A very good platform. There's quite a few articles there around you on the media and on the internet. So I did have a bit of a read and a bit of a stalk. Obviously an avid listener to your podcast. So thank you for saying it was world class. I copied the format that you use.
Nice.
So we've had back-to-back 2 training sessions this week, about to go into round 2 for our Super W. Yep. Had a little bit of hail, a bit of lightning on Tuesday, which was a bit of fun. How are you feeling going into the weekend?
Yes, Tuesday night was pretty exceptional when it comes to thunderstorms. But coming into this weekend, I think the really positive thing was our preseason game against these girls, the Brumbies. So we're playing the Brumbies this weekend, competition game. I feel like the group is ready for this challenge. Like we've been saying the whole preseason, you get what you deserve.
Yeah.
And I think that with the work we've put in, the planning we've put in, the hard work from the girls, and the plan that we've got, if we stick to the plan, then the formula will take care of itself. So pretty exciting.
And of course, for us, it would be the first win in the Super W, so potentially making history this weekend.
Yeah.
Very big. So today, podcast, I'd like to look at 3 different facets of your life, PB and J, so Pete at home, Pete as a coach, and Pete as a businessman.
Cool.
Just so you're prepped, that's the 3 stages. I also went to the fans for questions, so you see if you can guess who's thrown in what.
The Rebel Like Her fans?
No. Your podcasters. So you've interviewed quite a few people, and I've spoken to some people along the way.
Unbelievable.
So let's hope I've done a good job of this.
Yep.
Tell me about a day in the life of Peter Breen 5 years ago and a day in the life of Peter Breen now. Specifically looking at a day today, how much your life may have changed or may not have changed. A lot of us just see your Instagram hustle and think, dude, you're a celebrity, you just started there.
Yep.
But I think you've probably been on the grind for quite a while and your life might have changed a little bit. So what does it look like?
I love how you asked the question and then gave me time to think, and then now I've had time to think and can answer. That is such a skillful way to ask a question. 5 years ago, so I was obsessed with rugby, as all I wanted to do was be a rugby player. So therefore, and when I look back now, I'm so happy with the effort that I put into it. Like I just poured my whole heart into it. Like you said, played for Super Rugby development team. That's as high as I ever got. But I'm so proud of the effort. So what did a day look like? Literally 2 or 3 skill sessions. Like I was always working on my kicking, plus the team gym session, plus the team training, extra fitness stuff to be the fittest that I could. Playing for Northland in the Mitre 10 Cup. And I just had the dream of getting like a Super Rugby contract. So for the Blues, there was an opening there at first 5. But it never happened. But that season for Northland, I literally was just working really hard. And like I said, so proud of the effort. And I guess that's kind of my advice to most young players is you'll never regret the effort that you put in.
Yeah.
So you can always look back so proud on that. So that's, I guess, what I'm really proud of. So literally not much else other than rugby. I was obsessed. Yeah.
Okay, and moving to today, obviously at some point you became a social media guru, you started coaching, you released a whole heap of different products and merchandise, a tea, when did it change and what does it look like today?
Again, like it's the work ethic is still there, like it's literally just every sort of hour there's a new project, what are we doing, contacting someone around the world, selling teas, skill videos. So for me, generally the day is get up pretty early, so like 6 a.m. Love to head to a cafe from 7 till 9. Have a business call with my business partner Kale at 9 a.m. every morning. I'm in Melbourne, he's in New Zealand. So we chat through all of our tasks that we're working on. So a simple task is what videos are coming up, what do we need to schedule, what players are we looking to talk around with using the teas, different marketing campaigns, app development, just the work, so all our tasks. And then usually go hard for another 2 hours, and then I'm massive on my own fitness and wellbeing. So middle of the day, go do some training. I'm a big napper. I love having a sleep. I think sleep's so undervalued. So have a sleep in the afternoon, and then usually have to calm the nerves to head out to Super W training and see all the girls and deal with that chaos, and do some more planning on the way out, or make some phone calls and rugby training, and then it's 9 p.m. and have some dinner and do it all again.
Train hard, sleep hard, right?
That's right, love it. Chloe Dalton.
Hey, Chloe Dalton, shout out. So you did mention that you have this business meeting and you go through different tasks and things.
Yep.
For the up-and-coming entrepreneurs, what do you use to track your tasks? That's very fascinating for me.
Yeah, so for me, coming from purely rugby background, I didn't have much business knowledge. So my business partner, Kale's been magic with what he's brought, just with we use an app called Slack, which is our communication channels.
Yeah, I'm actually in Slack. We should start a channel.
100%, let's chat. So I talk with my virtual assistant, so my VA Ice, who's magic. She's from Malaysia. She does a lot of work for me in there, so we're constantly back and forth. Sup Ice, what's going on with this order or project?
Yeah.
Really good. So general distribution, marketing, content, just all the different channels and people that are involved. So we've got a video editor, so speak with my guy Nick around that in Slack. And then Trello is the main task board.
Love it.
Yeah, Trello's magic. And
also very visual.
Very visual, which is great for me. Like, do this job, move it to the next channel, complete.
Yeah.
We can both see it. And I guess every day is a pretty easy phone call for me and Kale because all the information's there. We're literally just talking about what the plan is. So we're not just starting from scratch each day. Been great for me with organisation. I guess the biggest thing I've learned from it is the power of an hour. And I know that sounds a bit
Did you slogan that somewhere? TM it?
But I learnt the power of an hour doing house renovations. So back in Dunedin days, we did 4 different house renovations, myself and Jay, the wife. And you always sort of face with, when you got a chaos day, like, I can either just chill here and watch something on TV, or I've got an hour, go to the house, do some painting, fix something. Like, you can achieve a shitload in an hour, and I guess kind of just taking it into Rugby Bricks.
I love that mentality. Power in an hour. So when you were starting out in business in rugby, I want to understand if you ever found it difficult to ask for favours. So as a player, I absolutely love learning, as you've now found. I gravitate to people who add value to my life. I find knowledge is infectious. When you were first starting out and you weren't quite the celebrity that you are now, did you ever find it difficult to approach people and say, hey, I need a favour, hey, I want to work on some skill development? Mostly looking for like what advice you'd give to people who want to contact or get in touch with people outside of their regular circle for extra knowledge or development.
Yeah, I took a good one from Steve Jobs. He talks about not enough people ask for help. And I guess if you're coming from a really genuine place, plus you've put in a shitload of work to even get yourself in the position to ask the question, quite often the answer is yes. Like, I think the problem is if you haven't become obsessed with something or done the work, done the research to ask a good question, then you can't really be genuine with asking for help. So any time that I've asked someone for help, it's like I'm prepared, I'm organised, just like you today. You've got cameras set up, you've got a great script. Like,
What? This is all natural.
The lighting's perfect. Like, when you ask the question about doing the podcast, like, no worries. Like, I know that you're going to absolutely nail it, which you are. So before you ask for help, probably think about, okay, am I prepared enough to even ask the question? And if you are, just be brave enough to ask, because everyone loves to help. And one reason why I love coaching is because of the fulfillment you get. So you get a lot, like, money's great, like you get paid, and can get paid to coach, but not everything's about money. So if you get a massive fulfillment out of doing a job or doing a coaching session, someone asks you for help and you do it, and you're like, wow, that was awesome. Like, me and Annika worked on her passing, she's feeling great, she's positive, she told her partner, she told her parents, she told everyone that she knows that she's working on it. Like, that's pretty magic. So when you ask someone for help, they all of a sudden are now, you're giving them the gift of that. So don't be scared of asking. You
also naturally breed evangelists, from what it sounds like, as a marketing term. Right. Evangelists are people who then go and rep your brand for you.
Bang, I think I've learnt a new word.
Become one, outwork, outlearn. Yes. It's massive, free stuff, free time.
100%.
Got to do it. Do you find it actually then comes back to you tenfold?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I learned that lesson. I was a personal trainer, and then put my effort into training Jay, my wife's basketball team. It was not a paid role or anything, but I just went so hard, like, just gave everything, like good session plans, fitness, extras, skill development. And as you know, I love basketball. And the payback doesn't come, like, you never know when the payback's going to come, but like, literally ran into a guy in Dunedin who was the coach at the time, and we still talk fondly about like that season and how great it was, how much fun we had. And he spreads the good word about Rugby Bricks because he knows that what I'm doing is going to be as much energy as what I gave to the basketball. So does it come back? 100%. But it's not measurable, but you just got to know that it will.
I sometimes think a feeling is measurable. It feels really good. You're doing a good job.
100%. Yeah.
So you've touched previously on social anxiety.
Yes.
It's not something that I know much about. I get more energetic the more people I hang out with.
Yeah.
How have you found that it's potentially impacted you, maybe as a coach or in team environments? Has it affected you? So obviously, being such an extrovert, I tend to get thought of potentially at the start as obnoxious sometimes, whereas my girlfriend on the other side, she's quite introverted, which means when she's shy, sometimes people think that she's being standoffish. Yep. So do you think that personality or your experience with personality has affected your involvement in teams? And if it has, how do you overcome it?
So for me, the whole social anxiety thing, I didn't understand it till I think I was 28. And it sort of came to a head when we were preparing to go to a mate's wedding, and just this massive social anxiety came over me, and like literally was in a suit ready to go, and a good friend, and I just said to Joe, I'm not going, like just had this panic attack. It's what social anxiety does to you. And that kind of, and I'd had a lot of things like dinners or dinner parties, rugby team events, where the social anxiety would come, and I didn't understand it. You either go into flight or fight. So you just want to get out of the situation. I'm not going. I'm going to stay on the couch and be safe and not talk to anyone.
I love that.
So I was like, shit, Jay, like I reckon I've got an issue here. Like what's going on? I need to figure it out. Went and saw a lady, and then she's amazing, and she literally has changed the whole thing for me. And then just as soon as I worked out it's all to do with your values. So feel the social anxiety, acknowledge it, and be like, does this line up with my values, and is it important? So then you can kind of rationalise yourself and not get into that flight or flight mode. So definitely during my early rugby days, when I didn't know, it was literally a panic attack and I didn't know how to deal with it. But now that I'm able to rationalise it, and any time that I do feel anything come on, I can either say, does this line up with my values, and is it important to me? Yes, do it, and then you just commit to it. If it doesn't, don't. And then so that's kind of how I deal with it now.
So you mentioned Jay, obviously massive part of your life, and being very driven and focused, I would say. You've heard your tribe becomes your vibe or something along those lines. Who are the people that you spend the most time around, like the 5 people that you spend the most time around, and why do you choose them, I guess?
So Jay, obviously my wife's one that I spend a lot, and we are best mates, which is great. The biggest thing that Jay's done for me is she's Cook Island, so she's half Cook Island, and I think she's always given me a really good outlook on the islands, where people come from, why people are the way they are, why do some people talk differently. Like a good example she said about in the Cook Island language, there's only 12 letters. So if an islander can't say tea, it's like, it's not in their vocabulary. So when someone says 1, 2, 3, it's because they've never had to use the word tea, so why mock them or make them feel uncomfortable about it? So there's probably 100 examples like that she's been really great with, and because I love people and rapport, she's been massive on that. Kale, business partner, he's probably the most driven, smartest dude. It's like he's got 10 brains in his head, just like amazing and full of ideas. I love good coaches. Stephen Larkham was massive the time that I got to spend with him, so he's been a great mentor. Tony Brown as well. And there's not many people I hang out with that is not adding value. So, and lucky with who I live with, Nick Pearce, Julie Easter, and Samara Gallagher, just real driven people and having a crack at a project, and we're all kind of learning the game together, which is cool.
Sounds like you could do a business mastery course just on a Friday night over wine.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we've got a great environment, and Melbourne's been good. So getting out of New Zealand and getting to Melbourne and getting rid of that tall poppy thing. Like if I was trying to do Rugby Bricks and back home, I would be getting so much shit from people mocking.
Really?
Like, what are you up to? Like, that's lame.
And you don't find that in Melbourne?
Not at all. Everyone's having a crack here, and it's really positive, and you tell someone about it, it's like, wow, that's awesome. How are you doing this? Whereas sometimes back home you get the, oh, yeah, cool.
Do you think it's a Kiwi thing, or do you think it's a small town thing?
Small town thing.
Yeah, I would say I found the same thing in Newcastle. Yeah.
It's not so much of the Kiwi thing, it's definitely a small town thing, and a lot of people are uncomfortable around it, like they don't really get it or understand it, or understand how they could help you as well. And the networking's a real thing. I didn't understand networking till I got to Melbourne, and then you're like, oh, cool, it's actually a really valuable tool. So
network is your net worth. Is that how it goes? The other way around? Would you say that is something that people should do then for their own personal growth and development? Get out of home, wherever home is.
I think you need to leave. Home will always be there. I grew up in a town that I love called Oamaru, 13,000 people. Absolutely love Oamaru, going back there. It's such a cool place, good vibes. And I've got a lot of friends and family there. And but if you don't leave, and Tamati Ellison actually explained it really well about his tribe. He grew up in Porirua, and he was saying, like, if you never leave your tribe, you can't help it move forward and grow. So you're just going somewhere that the tribe hasn't been yet. You're always going to return home and bring the value back. So leaving and getting out of it just makes you a better person. And I think definitely parents and people as well, like, you show people how to live by living. And so if you never leave, it's kind of hard to grow.
I have definitely found perspective is a huge thing. Moving from Newcastle, couldn't tell you how many people, horrible at geography, but small town, coming to Melbourne, I've gone from, I think, being like the syndrome of whatever it's called, big fish in little pond, and you come to Melbourne and you're one of, I don't know how many million, and you just chat with everyone, and I think it definitely gives you some perspective on lots of other things out there in life. On the people coaching front and learning things, you're an accomplished coach. You've learnt from some of the best. We've heard the podcasts. If you haven't, go back. They're excellent. I think a good coach can have such a huge impact on your development and I think growth as a player. So in terms of coaching philosophy, there's your prompt. That's the question. In terms of coaching philosophy, what would you say are your fundamentals? And for all the coaches listening, can you give some examples of any phrases that you use when you're coaching or giving feedback, specifically to get a targeted result out of a player, perhaps?
One big thing that I've learned about is flow state. So it's got to be the skill or the thing you're trying to learn can't be too challenging that it's like you can't see that it's really close, but then it can't be too easy that you're just achieving it really, really simply. And that's got to continue as you go on your journey. So goal kicking is a really good example. You don't just go from 0 to 100 straight away. You just so I guess with that is challenging people. So, and I think that's probably where me and you went so well, is like I wasn't letting you out of the session until you were giving me what I was asking for. And I wasn't asking for anything like too high, but there was no option like execute this as I'm asking you to. So I think that pressure is a really good thing, and if it's delivered in the right way, it can be really positive. So that's my main coaching philosophy, and the whole work out, learn thing is what I'm big on. Like, we can do all this airy-fairy stuff and culture and team building, but we're going to work harder than everyone else as well. And I'm big on as well that if you want to have a successful team, it's quite often a good idea to have the best players in the world in the team.
I mean, that's a great idea.
And look at any tournament or any Rugby World Cup or Super Rugby. They're the best players and best team on the field, and then they happen to have a good culture as well. So build the player, be the best in the world, and then we can worry about that other stuff that's really easy to get once you're there.
So for me personally, I have found a lot of the time when I get feedback and when I give feedback, if I'm learning a skill, I'll say, hey, you did this part wrong, try and do this part right. So for me, it happened on the field. I ran the ball, and after I finished my run, because of feedback I've been given, I went, shit, I was way too high. And then so I started doubting myself, and I got back up, and you yell in from the sideline, great strong carry. And all of a sudden I went, wait, no, that actually wasn't so bad. You know, the readjustment of height is a little thing. I can work on that. Great. I can drop my body height. So you used one phrase to change my mentality. My feedback after that game was great readjustment of body height for my game, which was big for me. That was fun. I also know from speaking to some of the girls that if they miss a kick, it's not, shit, you missed that kick, you did this wrong. You give different feedback. Can you give us an example of what you might say and why you deliver it that way?
I guess I found the value of in-session feedback real good, like literally on the move, great cueing. It's one thing that I picked up from Stephen Larkin was you don't have to stop things all the time. And I guess that's an eye for detail as a coach. Like as things are moving or a player's running past to get set for a new drill, you can give really good cues straight away that can change body shape. One thing that I learned from basketball was all about the feel and talking about the body. So for that feedback I gave you, great strong carry, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, man, I just did something strong and it was a good carry, and I've been told that I need to do strong carries for my team. Now the snowball effect's going to happen, because now you're going to give us something else positive, a good strong lift and a line out, or a good catch, because now the snowball effect happens. So I guess the quicker you can, in a game or in a session, give someone a little snowball to start, then all of a sudden you get a really good result, if that makes sense. Does that answer the question?
Sort of. Specifically in kicking on these occasions,
Yeah.
I want you to know if you can remember an occasion, because if not, I'll feed you one. If a kicker is missed,
Yeah.
what have you said and why?
I guess not being a kicker and a coach, you've got to be aware that you're not going to win every battle. And I think as soon as the player understands that you're okay with that, then they feel really good about it. We've all missed tackles. We've all done stupid things on the field. And as soon as you realise that the coach is not going to bite your head off about it, now all of a sudden we're working together to get the good result. I need your example.
So on field, I think my girlfriend Asho perhaps missed a kick. She kicked it into touch off a kickoff instead of a bit short. And I was sitting next to George Cormick, shout out, love you G, at the time, and I said, I bet you Pete will run on and say something positive. And Georgia said next to me, and she said, yeah, usually if I miss a kick, he doesn't say, you strike that wrong, that was a wrong strike, or you kicked it wrong, or your aim was wrong, or whatever. He comes on and he'll say, that was a really good strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what Asho did. Like, she absolutely smoked that kick off, beautiful strike. And that's the thing, slow backspin, really nice big hard foot up the back of the ball. So she did everything so well that it was such a good kick that it went out. And I guess she hadn't done the reps or the good reps enough to then aim a little bit longer, because she was expecting to undercut it, blah, 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 blah. So I guess, yeah, that little focus, and it's not a positive negative sandwich. I don't really like those because they're too long-winded.
Too many words.
Yeah.
We go into that in a bit, your choice of words.
Yeah, but definitely quick positive, what's the fix, next rep.
So how do you balance the delivery between being positive and making sure the person knows exactly what they have to work on? So I see coaches who are coming up and working on their coaching. They go straight from being quite negative sometimes to you did this wrong, to then they change to you did this wrong, but... Yeah. And then I think the more forward-focused way that actually works best is the way that you deliver it. Is that a combination of working like on the go, in-go session? So when you're in session, you know you can give more detailed feedback versus when you're in game time. Like, do you appropriate your feedback?
I know exactly what you're asking now. So I had a great experience with Tony Brown. When he came to Otago, we had a pre-season of about 3 months. He was in the gym with us every morning, 6 a.m., 5 days a week for three months. So think about the amount of time that he spent with us working on skills. So therefore, he'd explained everything in detail throughout the session, explained it really well once. We both on the same page, question and answers, which therefore, and this is the outwork thing, and George Corms is a really good example. We've done that many hours together that we can do the quick cue.
Yeah.
And I can be positive because I know that she's put in that many hours that she doesn't need the negative from me.
Yeah.
She just needs I think you need to keep your shoulder over a little bit longer, or stay in the kick, or you rushed your first step.
Yeah.
So we've done 1,000+ reps saying don't rush your first step. When I then say you rushed your first step, then it's like, cool. It's a pretty easy fix, isn't it?
It's so cool for me that you can change behaviour in just a few words. Like, that for me is a massive take home for me as a player and for coaches.
Yep.
Very powerful. You've touched on rapport building, humans and learning and coaching. In your experience, do you think empathy is really important in sport? And is it something that you've been naturally good at, or is it something that you've really gone out and sought information about and tried to learn so that you can be a better teammate, a better coach, a better mentor?
Yeah, empathy is a funny one. You've got to be a good human first and foremost. So, and a lot of culture stuff that teams have is no different from being a good human. We're just putting it in a team environment. So if you're a shit human, I probably don't give much time or energy to you. And again, don't line up with my values. So I'm not gonna go there with you. So it's pretty, when someone's coming from a good place, they've putting in a massive amount of effort and work and care, it's pretty easy to then be a little bit empathetic with them. And I think that's the big part. But I do a lot of study and watching in videos on rapport, people, communications, personality types. So I guess that's probably the thing as a coach I'm trying to really nail is what type of person is this? What are they going to respond best to?
Top 3 places you found good information for that?
Just YouTube. Yeah. Sometimes you get some dud videos, but if you type in building rapport with a person on YouTube, you find some pretty amazing stuff for free. Finding a coach that you really like and just watching how they do it, how they talk, how they cue's massive.
Have you found many people have followed you around because you're good at it?
I feel like a lot of people enjoy the environment that I create.
Yes.
Training in.
Yes.
So yeah, it's awesome getting a lot of good feedback on Instagram, and you get really positive messages, and I guess that does keep you going. It's not really why I do it. But yeah, it is. If you can create a good environment, again, I think people know exactly what my values are before we've even started or met, and then you just start and get on with it.
Have you done much research on leadership? Because I think very naturally you are a very strong leader and promote good leadership within a culture. Have you worked on that much? Is it something that you've seen other people do and you've become really good at? How has that skill developed for you?
Yeah, I think when you've had enough jobs along the like we've all had jobs that we've had to start off with, and packing shelves in grocery stores, and you work for bosses and good bosses, and the good ones understand the people, and you're a human first, and then build rapport, get you to work hard, and then also can reward you when you do. Nothing really changes. To be a good leader, it's got to start with the people, and then the coaching and the skills and the drills come after that. But you've got to have the rapport first and build friendships, understand how people tick. Again, going back to my wife Jay with what I've learned from her around culture and different upbringings, and that's been great because rugby's got so many different cultures in it. So yeah, leadership's about people, not anything else. Yeah.
I'm very big on promoting good leadership. I'm hoping that when your app comes out, there's sections for skills, drills, and then sections for like
Good point, yeah.
people building.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something that you're good at, and I think it's something that's potentially undervalued.
Yep.
I mean, we talk about it a lot, but I think the resources aren't so widely recognised, I guess, perhaps for rugby players. Like a lot of people go into leadership through business or change development or culture building on something through business, but not often through sport. So stick a few links in. It would be appreciated. Also, I have met Jay and I love her. I think we were instant best friends, maybe more on my part.
She does
than
ask
her part.
about you.
Oh, does she?
Yes.
I potentially invited her out while you were away for a social occasion. Did she tell you?
Yes, she did.
I invited her to a drag night.
Outstanding.
She was quite busy, but I'm sure she wanted to come. Yeah. So off podcast, you are very deliberate with your words. I would say you don't use so many words. On podcast, I think you use quite a few more words.
Yeah.
Obviously, usually you ask the question. So is that super intentional, and has it always been like that for you? Because I get nervous and I speak more, and I think sometimes I then say too much and I confuse people. Is there any tips or tricks you use do you wait 3 seconds before you reply? Is it just that you're so well practiced when you speak, you're very clear about what you say? Like, how have you worked on that over the time?
I guess going back to a lot of stuff that I've read and learned and watched, there is massive value in just waiting, and especially when you're in a group setting or a table or a coach's meeting, you can they often talk about how leaders talk last, so get a scope of everyone and see how everyone's feeling, and then make a really good insight. I think, again, being able to spend time with people, explain stuff extremely well, get people in the outwork mindset, so they're already putting in a shitload of effort that you're helping them with one-on-one, can allow you to not say much during sessions and during games and quick cues is probably the best way to do it, yeah. So what I'm saying is you spend a lot of effort, a lot of time with people. We're both outworking everyone else. It's easy to not say much.
Perhaps because I'm saying too much, I'm not working hard enough.
Yes.
Pete, come on. I actually had a Fijian coach once, and I won't do the accent because I'm horrible at accents.
You should try.
Annika. No, it's going to sound racist and I'm not. Anyway, so he sent me down and he said he has 5 sons and they're all at uni studying biomedical science or something. And he said, Annika, I've always told my sons that whoever talks the most has the least up here.
Right.
And he said,
I like it.
I don't like it. I talk a lot. And then this was coming into grand final, actually, so he'd spent quite a bit of time with me. And he said, you might be the one person that I've met that speaks a lot but also has something up here. It was nice.
That's good feedback.
Yeah, it is good feedback. I think my mum has grown up calling me a chameleon because she says I am whatever I need to be in that situation.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it was a compliment or not, but she said it.
I like that.
Last one on coaching. In your experiences, what are the big differences coaching men and women? So obviously I'm very literal as a person and as a player. And a lot of the girls are. So we get told very specifically that you're going to go and do this drill around these cones, and we will be like, we have to go to that cone first and then that cone and then we come back, and like the detail is always there. And I think sometimes that surprises some male coaches. We need a designated wee break before the game. That's very important. We hug a lot. So would you say that between men and women there's massive differences coaching? Is it very similar? What would you say to coaches starting out with either guys or girls as some hot tips getting cracking?
I think, so I reckon it's a little bit of a cop-out a lot of the time. I reckon we go to the men versus women thing. Like I treat both sessions the exact same. Yeah, there's little differences like having a wee before games and a little bit more literal, but again, just treat them like humans. So there's boys that are exactly the same, that are really micro, need detail, have to understand why we're doing this. That doesn't make sense. You told me this, I did it. Why is this wrong? So it's exactly the same. And again, I think girls love when you just get in there, get stuck in, treat them just like a normal human or a player. And that's what I've always tried to do as well. Like we're working on a skill here. Like if you're shit at this, I'm gonna tell you you're shit, whether you're a guy or a girl. Like don't give me this bullshit effort and give me other different reelings. Like stay in your lane. But then again, like I have heard before that boys need to play well to feel good, and then girls need to feel good to play well. So there is something in that, but again, I think it's just down to personality. There's some blunt girls out there that need bugger all coaching and don't want to talk about it and just, what's the job? Tell me what to do.
Shout out to Renee Cross, if you're listening to this, that is you in my life.
I can think of a few girls in the Wallaroos as well that are like that.
Would you like to name drop? Or
I won't name drop them because
they might not love it.
But again, understand the personality. Go there first.
Yeah.
What is this type? And then if you don't know about the different personality types, introverts, extroverts, the different coloured dots and stuff, I'd highly recommend doing that. And if you've got a coaching team at the moment, put them all through personality tests online. They're all free, and just kind of understand it.
So you use colour association for people?
Yeah, I can't remember
ways.
what that scale is called or whatnot. But I've been in teams where we've done the test and it was literally on our locker. Our colour dot was on our locker in the locker room.
Yeah,
and,
wow.
It was great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Because when an extrovert's being outgoing and loud and rowdy, sweet. We all know that about them. All good. That's you. I can deal with it. And then when they're not, you're like, oh, what's going on with old extrovert today? Pretty quiet. Maybe check in. So everyone being aware of it, coach especially, you've got to be aware of it. But don't, the whole boy-girl thing's bullshit. You're an athlete now, and get on with it.
That's fascinating for me. So I asked this question because I've been asked it several times before, but I genuinely have found that it's much more personality based as well.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought about colours so much as like learning styles. So if people use cues, they talk about seeing a lot, then a lot of the time they're visual learners. If they talk about how did you hear that, then a lot of the time obviously auditory. They talk about gut feelings, they're kinesthetic. Can't use that word, but and if you can get to someone on their learning level, then a lot of the time you're going to get information across a lot better.
Yeah.
So I think that impacts us as players too. So we get a lot of stuff by PowerPoint at the moment, which is potentially good for visual learners, but because we're not bringing it to life and living the motion, a lot of the time it's very, very hard to learn from PowerPoint. So I guess that's a hot tip for coaches. Send the PowerPoint and then do the work.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But even just having the conversation with a player, like, what's the best way that I can coach you? And then they tell you, and then when they see you actually being reactive to what that conversation you've had, they're like, whoa.
You feel valued.
This guy cares.
Yeah.
And,
What colour am I?
I don't know what the colour would be, but probably the extrovert one.
Very largely on a scale, I find.
Yeah.
I've actually had to learn to taper my energy, and obviously before our first game at Amy Park the other day, all too much. I wasn't tapering very well. But the more people that are around, the louder I get.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn to dial it back a bit. But then I know I also have to expend the energy at some point, because otherwise it turns into nervous, not fun energy.
Yeah.
So there's lots of dancing the other day.
But even that, I'd challenge you on that. Like, you're obviously got a lot of energy and like to talk a lot and use it. So it's like, sweet, you better show me a freaking effort and show me your GPS numbers on the field are higher than everyone else.
Pete,
So
I
if
would
you're
love
telling
to.
me you got this energy, freaking show me. Don't talk it up and then not deliver.
This is actually a bit of a sore point for me at the moment. I still haven't got a GPS. I'm working towards one. I would love to show you my GPS numbers. I looked them up the other day, but they're a bit too expensive to buy just one. Well, I mean, I was going to do it anyway, but Asho sort of put a line in the sand and went, mate, you're not doing that. Thank you, Asho, for being the voice of reason. Okay, switching gears a little. This is a fun part for me. So my background is in law. Then I went into small business growth development, marketing, social media, talking. Very fun, natural fit for me. Pete, the marketing man and brand. The teas, obviously, beautiful selection behind you. The programs, the podcast, the clothing line you're modelling. You model all your own clothes online. Talk me through the journey and the decision points. So did you have specific moments where you sat down with Jay and went, this is it, Jay, first tea's out, we're going for it again. That's it, Jay, we're going to model some shirts. Like, have you had certain points in life that you can remember where you actually went, instead of being, this is an idea, I'm going to go for it? No.
So it's
not what I expected.
It's not like that. It's literally, let's try this. This might work. Have a crack. Post this. What's a good competition? I want to do a new tee. And I think that's the beauty of it. And one big inspiration for me is Gary Vee on Instagram. And I think his message of don't get fancy is so important. So when I started, the first few videos with Rugby Bricks was literally with like a soccer pole. I bought a phone case, stuck some double-sided Velcro on the pole. Like, that's how it started. Stick in the ground, iPhone 4S, and recorded a video. It's still, you scroll all the way back through, they're all still there. So that's always been the big thing, and I guess that's the funny thing that I always see at the moment is people getting so fancy straight away and posting this like beautiful photo. They've got all the mean gear, but then the thing that they're filming is like boring and not very cool and not interesting. So we could film a Rugby Bricks skill video on anything, and it's the thing you're watching that's important, and the message. And a lot of the best videos, like I literally did a video with Nicola yesterday, one of our girls, a fending drill, phone sitting in a shoe on the ground, wind's blowing, but the message and what you're watching, it's so obvious, the skill, use it, here's the progression, go do it. That's kind of the idea behind it.
Did you ever get too fancy?
Yes, I did. Freaking podcast. So we started the podcast. We bought this. Actually, these lapels are now the best way to do it. We bought this $600 unit that you plug all these hard out microphones into, and like I can like thinking about it now, like what was I thinking? Like, I need a studio for starters, and then what am I going to do? Fly guests to the studio that's set up, and so now I've got a thing that plugs into the phone, 2 lapel mics, and we're off and racing for $250 total. And again, don't get fancy. It's the person talking. So like Tony Brown, a world Japan rugby coach at the Rugby World Cup, like look what they did. It's about what he's saying, not the freaking mic he's talking through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been good. Like every idea of kind of that's coming into the head, you're able to chuck it on cello. What's the plan here? Kale, can we execute this? Do it. Let's have a crack. And not being too scared about, is it going to work or is it not going to work? So In the first year was big, like 5 kicking tees, $10,000 a mould for each kicking tee. Like, it's a lot of cash to try and, but we were just having a crack.
And obviously the first one didn't quite come to life yet, but it might, with the bristles.
Yes, the first brush tee. That was, the first investment was a flop. Didn't work. But the RB88 is still going strong. So, that's the second one, actually,
So we've talked about the RB88, and I also want to talk to you about like your starter kit of if you're going to start out making videos, what do you need, sort of thing. But I want to talk about the RB88 for just a second, and about all of them for a second. So I'm not a kicker.
Cool.
I have now nailed quite a few kicks off your tees, so there's a bit of a promo drop.
Cool.
And obviously my girlfriend uses them a lot now. At first, she didn't love them because she wasn't used to them.
She's getting better, home.
She's getting quite good. Now she's very used to them. She will tell you her dad's a coach, so shout out to Mr. Walker. How do you know when you're starting out which tee to go for? Is there a, from a distance, you should use this one, from close up, you use this one if you kick this way? Like, have you put a handbook out somewhere on what to look for when you're starting out? Talk me through the range.
It's actually kind of our next project with Rugby Bricks, so we've kind of gone for the person that's already kicking, existing, got an idea of a technique. That's kind of what the 10 pillars of Rugby Bricks is based off, and now we're thinking about, okay, let's go back to kicking for dummies, like if I've never kicked before.
I hope you release that handbook. I'll help you make it in
what's the idea? How do we
Canva.
start? What's the very first thing I should try to do? And what tee should I buy? So if you've grown up playing a lot of soccer, go for a low tee, because obviously a soccer ball is quite low to the ground. Your natural foot coming through strikes pretty natural. If you've grown up playing a sport like AFL in Melbourne, then slightly higher tee, because your contact point's a little bit higher. If you've got no idea, who's your favourite player? How do they kick the ball? Were you like, sweet, I'm going to mimic that person's technique, so therefore I'm going to use a tee similar to them. Let's start there and see how we go. Or just buy the whole range.
Can you buy the range yet? I haven't seen that available online.
100%. Chuck them all in the cart.
Well, maybe you could do Christmas packs or Valentine packs. That would be quite the present for a rugby player.
Yeah.
And the shirts, is it a specific material? I mean, obviously you're repping one now and it looks very soft.
Yeah.
Are you a sensory person? How did you come to decide that you're going to make a shirt?
Wanted something that people could just buy a t-shirt. It's just a simple cotton tee. There's nothing that special about it other than the logo and what it sort of represents. Big on that with the tees is like the message out, work out, learn. So when you're buying into a tee, you're buying into that mantra and mindset. So the t-shirt's the same. Looking into sports and active wear and going down that track and having some really cool gear sort of aligned with all the other sports clothing lines, but wasn't really the priority. Like, get the tees nailed, spend our money there, and then the clothing. We'll see how it goes.
And I mean, I think for me, it's all part of building a brand, because people want to be a part of it when they're so passionate about it, and they need a way to display their pride. Yeah, tees, fantastic, love them. Moving back for a second to talking about starting out.
Yep.
When I started out, I went to a Kerwin Ray course, who's like an Australian mini version of Gary Vee.
Yep. He's
super hyperactive with a little bit of ADD. He said he can work on multiple projects at any given time because of that energy.
Related?
Can relate. So he then sat down and said, use Canva for graphic design and get some lapel mics and get a frame from, this Michael store online. Like, what have you found works as a basic kit in terms of equipment and programs, and what would you recommend people use starting out?
I think before even getting to that point is what's the plan? Why are we doing this? So for me, I was watching a lot of basketball videos, skilled videos, and I was like, I can do that for rugby. I can do the same detailed coaching points, heaps of different variations, kicking, passing, halfback, box kick, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of had what I was going to film with the stuff. Starter kit, again, don't get fancy. So your iPhone's your starter kit. Go post something, see how it goes, get better at it. I laugh at the videos that I posted back in the day, iMovie and shit, bloody, but it's cool.
Transitions, they're all the rage at the start, aren't they?
If you go to the drills, like I'm still coaching those exact same drills, they just happen to not look as clean cut and with nice swipe ups and whatnot. The starter kit, I literally don't have much. It's a kit like iPhone, lapel mic. The wireless ones are really good, so I like using the Rode kit. That would basically be all I'd start with, especially if you're communicating and using voice. The lapel mics are really good because they're plug in and go, and they're made to capture voice rather than too many other sounds like the building site going on. Hopefully there's not too much coming through. It's just my clean
It's
voice.
authentic,
It's
right. It's authentic.
That's right. So yeah, don't worry about the starter kit. Cracks me up when I see people having a crack and starting a vlog and videos and fancy cameras, and it's like, well, okay, that's cool, but what are you teaching me? Educational or entertainment? It's got to be one of the two, and if it's just in between, then it's not going to work.
So I did some interviewing for fun back when I was in Newcastle, and my starter kit was a Boya mic because it's quite good audio, and the leads are kind of long, from Amazon for I think like $20 they rack up on your door. And then you can probably see in the back of this, I have my iPhone frame from eBay for $14.
Perfect.
And my tripod that I think is from Michael's for maybe about $40.
Love it.
And I would travel very light, and you'd rock up to interview people and then kind of give you a bit of a sideways glance, like expecting big cameras and things, but you never needed them, and the production always comes out quite well, I think.
100%.
Hot tips. Is there anything that you use to make, I mean, you have a graphic designer. Are there any other programs that you use to produce content, or?
I identified that pretty early that wasn't my skill set, and I was better spending my time on the stuff like speaking with podcast guests, getting them lined up. So at the moment, we send all capture the podcast or videos, send them to my graphics guy, and he does it. If it is something that you love doing, like what do you guys use? Adobe Pro or?
I use a little app called Canva. You buy a subscription one-off for $99 and you've got a lifelong membership with them, video editing. It's great.
Bang. So
chuck your captions on.
Yeah, so I guess like yourself, like you actually enjoy that, finding out how can I do it better, what looks cool. For me, it was just felt like such a waste of time. I'd rather be training someone or capturing the video. I'll give you the video, but work out what you're good at and what you want to spend your time doing.
And in terms of content planning and posting, how do you go about content planning and as well as scheduling posting? So one thing that I've found with Rebel Like Her, shout out, you get on board. I will be in the morning, you check in, at lunchtime you check in the afternoon you check in, you've got to post, you've got to be constantly on the story, so you're up in front of things. Your ability to post so much content is insane, personally. I think it's quite good. You're doing a really great job. Yep. How do you maintain that workload and not go crazy?
Probably because I'm obsessed with it and it doesn't feel like work, and it's just who I am, what I love. Again, scheduling, the only time I've really done scheduling was over Christmas, just had 30 days planned out of content and posts and stuff. That was all actually reposts. So at the moment, it's literally film it, get it cut up, and then shoot. Now that we've got a bit of momentum and there's a lot of people using the teas and a lot of just organic content coming, Ben Tamiafuna is the massive prop that plays for Tonga, sent me a video the other day of him kicking. So I'm like, wow, that's an amazing bit of content. Post it. It's had 200,000 views on Instagram,
wow.
8,000 likes. So did I go and film that? No. But again, going back to that thing of things coming back to you, that's what happens. Randomly turn on Super Rugby, Aaron Cruden, All Black, amazing first fives using the pink, that tee there. And I'm just like, holy shit. That's amazing. Where can I find a photo of him? Post it. So a lot of that stuff's happening now, which is really cool. Looking ahead, I'm going to do videos with players. So want to do a kicking session with Matt Tamura, and we just film the whole thing. I'm actually going to ask you to come along and film it, and then you can
slide into Elise Berry's DMs. Elise, I need you. I have a project.
And then just film a session with him, have him talking. How do you set your ball up, bro? And then you can just talk us through it. Oh, that was a nice strike. Why was that good? What are you aiming for? What's your target? What felt good? So that's kind of the next plan, is do some long form videos, which we'll get a whole heap of little form videos from. And it's the key. The podcast creates heaps. Like this conversation we're having now, you could probably take 30 clips from and create. So you just get better about capturing stuff that you're already capturing.
So if you were to summarize it in a few key dot points, it's know your market,
Yes.
know what you can deliver value on, deliver that value, and then watch it come back to you.
Yes. 4.
Okay, four pillars of marketing.
Yeah.
Kerr and Ray always used to say, give and give and give and give more than is expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Totally about it.
don't try and sell something. So hot
Dad-
tip for people.
Dad's always been big on that. Just give. That was what he was massive on. Just keep going. And now, how do you know what you're good at? Can you talk about it for 2 days straight? And I can talk about rugby skill for 2 days straight, which is probably a good idea to start a social media channel on that.
About it. I think that's actually something you find about Meds too. Our captain, Meditiana Robinson, shout out. She doesn't talk too much off the field, but when you get her on the field and when you put her in that captaincy spot and she needs to talk to the team and pep them up and give specifics, she can talk about it all day, and she's confident talking about it all day.
Yeah.
What if your skill is talking?
Again, same thing.
I can talk about talking. I'll do a podcast on how to interview.
Exactly.
On
Extroverts.
You.
Living the life of an extrovert.
Oh, it's loud
That'd
sometimes.
be a great channel. Imagine your followers.
I've had lots of people say that I should start a podcast and just talk about day-to-day life things, because there's lots of questions that get asked. Asho actually gets the question all the time, how do you live with her? Because I'm obviously a lot at training, but I think when we're at home it's much more balanced, and Asho tends to be occasionally louder than I am, which is quite funny, the flip of that home life of an extrovert. On the podcasts, you've talked about asking for favours and doing your research, but you've had some really big names. I mean, congratulations, it's going very well. But for the podcasts and the filming, when you're going to approach people, I'm trying to slide into Elise Perry's DMs at the moment to talk to her about a Women in Sport video for International Women's Day. Have you ever been nervous? And has it ever not worked?
There's definitely been people that have just blanked it. And just seen and then carried on with their day, and doesn't worry me one bit, because with Rugby Bricks, like playing the long game, like the very long game, like what's this going to look like in a couple of years? And I love asking people. It's cool, and it's coming from a good place. Again, everyone's got an amazing story. Everyone that I've kind of asked is already aligned with what the message is, so it's really easy for them to talk about. And cool now that you can kind of say, hey, really keen to have you on the podcast. Here's an example of what it sounds like, listens like. And that's probably why getting a few more yeses now, which is good.
Yeah.
It was hard, like, first 3 when I didn't have any. Like, oh, can you come on this thing that doesn't exist, but it's going to be really cool?
Did you use your network to make those happen?
Yeah, silly not to, New Zealand rugby is really small. There's been a lot of New Zealand rugby guests, and now that we've kind of got those real credibility people, it's making it easier to get other people. But 100%.
Have you got a go-to line of how you introduce yourself?
No, see, that's what you don't do. So like my good friend Case Muse, not a good friend, sorry, he was my coach, but we know each other quite well and get on. Like, he's a no bullshit person. So it was literally, hey bro, keen to talk scrums, can you jump on the podcast? ?
Wow.
So yeah, horses for courses.
Yeah.
Other people, Devin Markle, who's in NBA.
Sports psychologist,
NFL, really detailed. Mumba Academy, which was Kobe Bryant's academy that he set up. That's an email, detail, love to chat these topics. These are the questions I'm keen on. Here's the value. We're going to promote your page, blah, blah, blah. So, horses for courses.
Yeah, do a bit of research before you just slide into the DMs.
Yes.
I mean, obviously I WhatsApped you, which was much more appropriate in this scenario. So, coaching question for you. So I started a coaching certificate just for funsies because I wasn't studying and I like to learn things. And one of the perfect coaching questions is that if you were to sit down and throw a rock 5 years into the future, what would the perfect world look like for Pete? So you can have some time to think about it. So I want to know, what do you see? What do you hear? What does it feel like? What is success for you in 5 years' time?
So I'm going to rain on your parade a little bit. So I don't work that way. So
oh no,
I work in projects, and I think you've probably heard me talk about this before. So what's the project I'm working on right now that may create an opportunity in 5 years is how I work at it. So with Super W, with you girls, if I was not that interested and not really delivering a good coaching or energy or vibe, like, is that going to give me anything in 5 years? Like, who knows what that might be or opportunity, especially in the coaching world, like 1 year, 2 year contracts generally. So the project at the moment is Super W. Everything goes into that energy, above and beyond, give more than what you're required to do. So that's how I work on the 5 year question.
So there's no 5 year dream, there's no 10-year dream, there's no. What would be?
There's definitely what would be great. What's important to me? It would be awesome to have great work-life balance. Would love to maybe start a little family. I don't know.
Oh, watch out!
I could have a nice.
Gosh, they'd be good athletes.
Grab a retriever back from mum and dad. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen?
Bod's your oyster.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't actually know how we're going for time, but I think we're almost there. So I have a few things to finish off with, and they're more quick fire questions.
Great.
Startup, most recently listened to podcast.
Joe Rogan. He has some random people on there and they talk about all stuff, but I really love his delivery of podcasts, how he does it, how he communicates. Love Kevin Hart, comedy stuff, so skillful what he does. Like, comedians are freaking incredible with how
Very
they
talented.
deliver their comedy and the skill behind it. And Gary Vee stuff, just consume as every now and then.
Okay, coolest thing you've learned lately?
Rapport stuff. Just some more skills on that. Actually, I will explain that one. So was listening to one yesterday about presenting and talking in front of a room and changing all your vocabulary to communication styles. So instead of being, here's my research, this is what I've learned, be like, guys, we're all in this together. I've done some research. This can help us all move forward. And that's coaching. You're often standing in front of a group and delivering that message. So again, another little gem that I picked up yesterday.
Delivery is so important. I mean, for example, yesterday we're talking about at Ballarat at the weekend, food, etc. If we can chuck in $5, we can get some food brought to us.
Yes.
And the way that was delivered was done so well that we felt really great about giving $5 to get something to eat. Whereas if you, and I mean, I know it's a tiny little thing, but if you flipped around the delivery to be like, oh, we have to pay for something.
Yes.
So I think that kudos to Matt, the way that Coach Matt, the SC Coach Matt, the way that he delivered that was so fantastic.
Agreed. Didn't even pick up on that, but
I did. I sat there and I was like, well done, Matt. What household item could you not go without?
What household? Oh, that's a good question.
I'll throw in, mine's my Dyson.
Dyson, right. It used to be a soda stream. I love soda water.
Ooh,
Yeah.
right.
Big time soda water.
Yeah. What's one item you couldn't go without for a day?
Phone, probably. Yeah. But then I do love just chucking it there, not being on it.
Airplane mode for a day?
Yeah, no.
Okay, and to finish out, what is most fascinating for you at the moment?
The state of women's rugby and women's sport. It's so exciting, and we're slowly just seeing this little rise up in professionalism across all women's sport.
Yeah.
I think what was bugging me for a long time is we wanted women's sport to be professional, but the girls weren't professional. Like, they weren't impressive, they weren't the best in the world, but they were asking for this. And now we're like, wow, yeah, you guys are starting to meet us, and you're starting to now be like really impressive athletes and be the best in the world. And now they're getting what they deserve because they're coming to the party on that stuff.
It's actually been something that we talk about a lot. If we say a lot of the time, if we were paid to play like the men and we were training full time, well, of course we would be better.
Yeah.
But I'm very big on, like, I understand where we want to go and I understand where we are. So someone's going to be willing to sacrifice to get from A to B.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that you talk about is be the professional. Always act with professionalism and be the professional, and then you'll be treated as such.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very empowering message. If you do the work and if you start out and are showing yourself to be one way, then eventually the treats will come.
Yeah, 100%.
Fantastic. All right, well, that's all we've got time for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Pete, thanks for joining me at Rebel HQ, Rebel Like Her.
It was fun, I think, for your is this one of the first or second podcast that you've done?
First.
Wow, you did extremely well.
Thank
Very
you so
natural,
much.
off the tongue, good questions.
Thank you.
You've obviously been listening to some pretty good ones.
I have. It's all in the preparation.
Exactly. Great work. Awesome.
Until next time.